Next, I would like to invite Mr. NSN Murty, partner and leader for government and public services at Deloitte, India. Mr. Murty will share his perspective on driving digital transformation in governance. Please join me in welcoming him to the stage.
I'm going to change the topic completely, and because we have Amitabh and we have Sir from NSN, so I'm not going to talk about GenAI and cyber security. These two I'm not going to talk. But I'm going to talk about something what we are nowadays debating is, today we see a government, we look at the governance, we look at the service delivery, look at all the infrastructure deployments, but when we look at the goal, the aspiration India has set for itself, which is Viksit Bharat 2047, do you think the government will be like this? Do you think the services will be delivered like this? Is this the same way that you and me will be sitting in this auditorium and having this conversation? So I think I want to actually put two different perspectives. One, when, for example, if I want to actually need a service or I need to actually ask for something from government, I am not bothered which ministry, which department, who's actually working at the back end to give me that service. If it is a passport, for example, there are more than one agency which is involved in actually giving you the passport, because there is an image involved, there is an external affairs involved, everyone is involved, and there is third party involved. And there is Department of Post involved, because your entire delivery of passport happens through the post. But as a citizen, I am not bothered about where it is coming, because I am only looking at outcome. Now, fast forward yourself and think, in future, if you want to actually consume anything, do we want to actually see a department, or we want to actually go? The system should be able to tell me based upon my abilities, my credentials, my requirements, my what we call as the stage for which I am actually asking for. If I am a student, I am asking for a scholarship. I should not be applying it based on my credentials, which are already into the system. It should be able to be provided there are checks and balances available. So I am not saying without the checks and balances, otherwise it will create leakages. But one government is going to be the future, where the government actually at the back end is fully integrated. We keep on talking, I think from 2002 we have been talking about government in silos, integration, large governments working together, integration. Then we said, how does a single app can integrate and provide everything? But I think more importantly, how the processes can be fused. Because it's actually not departments talking to each other, it's actually a process flow which is getting fused. So how does the entire delivery of services, the single process, becomes a fused one, and it's nothing new, and we are not going to actually discover something new, but we will adopt it and make it much better. For example, Netherlands has actually Hague, which is the capital, which actually runs the departments at the local level, which are process driven. If I need to have a water, electricity bill or utilities, there is a process and the person owns that. So it's already well established in few of the countries. We need to actually take it and build it for us. One is, the most important element you will see is one government. So that's the part one. The part two is just totally different. I'm sitting in Bhopal. I'm not bothered about what a ministry or a central government entity will provide me as a service. I want that service at my doorstep. So it's a hyper-localized service delivery. So there's a dichotomy. So there's one way I'm saying I don't want government, and the second is I want government to provide me at my place. Okay, in my hands. So there is going to be, on the one side, which is at the larger service delivery, it's going to be integrated, and the other one is at the localized side, it's going to be hyper-localized service delivery, where every citizen is not a bunch of for example, a set of people who have to be delivered a service. Every citizen will have its own unique service opportunity. For example, and I keep on saying that. I think last week I was there in National E-Governance Conference, I said the same thing. We actually believe everyone reads a service at the same time, at the same place, and in the same fashion. For example, if I'm actually calling for an ambulance and I dial a number, there is a marked difference between an ambulance called, and I'm talking about ambulance which is an emergency service, the marked difference between an ambulance called for an accident for which I need to take someone, vis-a-vis a delivery of a pregnant woman, vis-a-vis a person who has had a heart attack. 3 service deliveries within the emergency response system will be quite different, because the person who's going to consume it he believes or she believes will be a completely different, because it's a life-altering situation. In cases, it is not life-altering situation in some cases, it is actually life-creation situation in one of the cases. So the way in which the services has to be delivered at a hyper-localized will continue to change, and for that, I think we did a lot of work, Sarkar Aapke Dwar, doorstep delivery, citizen apps. I don't think so that's the future. The future will be once we actually make it much more, we call it as a cradle to grave. Many countries have actually started working on this. These services are provided without you asking for it, and you are eligible for it, and these services are, and then you pay for it. It's not that these are free services. And the second part is, I really love Mr. Nitin Gadkari's statement, if you want a quality, you need to pay for it. Okay, so services delivery, today we expect that as our right, as citizen. I'm also good. It is not just the right, but it is something which if you actually are looking for a higher service delivery quality, you also need to pay for it. So the citizens, the industries, everyone need to pay for the service delivery quality, but you should ask for a hyper-localized service delivery as per you. So that's the last one I'll touch, and without that I usually can't complete this. Everything said and done, we need to have sustainability bundled into it. Every project we take up, it needs to have a consciousness built into it, saying that, am I actually creating an infrastructure which is going to be redundant in 2 years, or I can actually very well live with the cloud, because that's one way of actually reducing the carbon footprint. Am I want to actually redo the application and build new application, or should I take a DPI or DPG which is already available with some other state and I collaborate with that state? Part 2. Do I need so many people to redo and operate this, or can I, because every single project which comes to us saying that I need everyone sitting in my office. Whereas, when we go, everything is a remote management. How can I actually leverage this remote management? Because you are actually taking people off the road, cars, you are actually one person sitting out of his home, working from your location, has a huge impact on the climate. So, IT can actually contribute to a lot of sustainability, provided there is a change in the policy on how the projects are being asked for or RFPs have been delivered. Thank you so much for having me here. Thank you for calling me again. Thank you.